All right. So if you're new to Protect Our Queens, if you've been here for the entire year and some change that we've been doing this, one thing is that number one, if you don't like women's basketball, this is not the place for you. But also, Martin and I pride ourselves, whether it's on the show, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, we pride ourselves on doing something that Martin likes to call trolling the trolls. And unfortunately, the next troll that we have to kind of address and have to deal with is one Shaquille O'Neal. So as I mentioned in the intro, Shaq was on Angel's podcast, Unapologetically Angel, not too long ago, and this is what he had to say.
Let me explain why I came up with this solution first. In women's beach volleyball, let's just say that the net is 10. For women, it's lower just a little bit. I'm not saying lower it to 9, 5, 9, 6, but just 9, 9.
Just so we can dunk?
Yes. No, see? And
I hate when men say that.
But listen, that's the only difference.
We start dunking, then what?
Watch. We got shooters. Y'all got shooters. Oh, guys got some handles. Girls got some handles. Oh, we got this. We got that. Oh, we got talkers. Oh, we got brawls. Only thing is missing is the dunk.
I don't feel like it still would change.
I'm telling you.
I don't think
what?
So.
Bro, you dunking and getting, man, trust me, it'll change. Trust me, it'll change. I'm telling you right.
So.
Bro, I'm telling you now, if you load that thing to 99999.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
What you think, we finna make meals?
Yes.
What kind of meals?
Send them out. I'm telling you.
200 mil contracts? 100 mils? No, absolutely not.
So we didn't put it in the clip, but after that, to further prove his point, Shaq referenced an outfit that Angel Reese wore in Chicago when Wild 'N Out was on tour in Chicago. And he said, just imagine you, referring to Angel, dunking in those little shorts and how much attention that would garner. And that made Angel Reese very uncomfortable. There are two specific issues that we need to address, one of which we tackled very early on. It is this idea that if the rims were lowered for women's basketball, more people would tune in. I feel like that coming from Shaq is worse than it coming from just a random person on the internet, no?
Yeah, I mean, he's been standing on that for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the clip that people have seen from this, that's been going around is him talking about the shorts on Wild 'N Out. And how she more people would be watching if she was dunking in the shorts. So then it became less about the lowering the rims and more about how inappropriate that comment was. But yeah, the clip, I feel like they're trying to get the clip off the internet because it was so embarrassing and it was really like not a good look for him because the clip is out there, but we didn't have it in there. You didn't see it or hear it because it's like the only one that exists is like a weird version on Twitter.
Yeah,
so
really
but we've all seen,
someone else recorded it.
Yeah. It was just a weird, distorted version. So that's why it wasn't in there. But yeah, I just think I think it's unfortunate. I do think that like someone like Shaq is just like when it comes to the dunking stuff, like he's biased because he believes in the power of dunking the basketball and the entertainment factor of dunking the basketball. And he's not wrong when it comes to that. But I more so agree with Angel with her pushback when it comes to the fact that, and I've said it when we've talked about the lowering the rims on here before, like people are they're not going to be dunking that much more for it to even become a thing. There will also, even as Angel was saying, like people are still going to complain about something, even if it's the fact that they'll probably start pointing out the fact that the rims are lowered anyway. They'll find a way to discredit it and disrespect it anyway. So I don't think that's as much of a solution as Shaq has been proposing for a while now. But yeah, the part about the shorts and more people watching, even with that, like unfortunately, Shaq has a point about that. The kind of culture we live in, he has a point, and he might be right. He might be right about that, but I'm just shocked. I'm not shocked that he could say it and get away with it because the culture we live in, it's Shaq.
Yeah.
kind of personality he is. I think, listen, he's saying this on Angel's podcast is on his network. It's hard to like go at him hard as like a non-advocate or somebody who doesn't support when he's literally talking on the show on his network, and we know the kind of support that he's given Angel. But that's what also makes it even more unfortunate and inappropriate, because it's like, and that's what a lot of people are disappointed in Shaq for, the fact that he's sitting across from her and making a comment like that, trying to make a point, but just taking it too far, where it's like, yo, I'm not doing that. Like, I wouldn't do that. And I think that's the big thing I took away from this, was like, it's unfortunate because Shaq is doing something to women, to black women, that they keep saying like, yo, y'all keep doing this to us and putting us in these weird, awkward, situations and conversations where we have to compromise ourselves for more views or for more traffic. When you think that, and on the other side, like, we talk about selling out and would you do this for the man, or would you do this just for a bag or whatever? And some people may call Shaq a sellout in certain cases for things that he does with Taco Bell or with the different brands that he does or whatever. I mean, at some point, people may have called him that. And maybe he didn't care, because it's like, yo, I'm out here making business moves. I'm getting a bag. Like, I'm doing what's best for me. But the situation, the scenario that he painted of dunking in little shorts and stuff, like, come on, bro. Like, I get the point you're trying to make. I get that you're biased and you're Shaq and that's just you, but like that, he clearly crossed a line. Like, that's not it. Like, that's not it to say that's what you should just be. You should just consider doing that because more people are going to watch. It's like, bro, really? Like, well, if you go out here, if you strip naked on your podcast and start playing Hangman or something crazy on your show, you probably get double the views too. Doesn't mean you gonna start.
Does not mean you should do that.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm shocked he crossed that line, and I'm not shocked he's gonna get away with it. But that was crazy.
It's not shocking that he crossed the line, or it's not shocking that he's gonna get with it. It is a little bit shocking that he crossed the line. If you go to Twitter, saw some tweets. This one says, the saddest realization ever is when you get around a man thinking he might be different, only to realize that he's just a man. I feel so sorry for Angel Reese, because Shaq was really one of her that should be role models. I can imagine that he's just a regular dude to her now. It is unfortunate, right? One of the things that we talked about a couple weeks ago, as it relates to just like the discourse around like certain black players of like, Dejounte Carrington and Alyssa Smith, and that whole tirade I went on as it related to the racism and the sheer like unprecedented nature of the racism that a lot of WNBA players have faced this season. One of the things I said in my little rant on the show was that, Black women are the most underappreciated and unprotected community in the country. And it is our role as Black men, especially, to pour into them and invest time into them and protect them and stand up for them the way that they do us. And this, unfortunately, is just yet another instance of a Black man not doing that. Right. Like, when you think about Angel Reese and you think about how at the end of her college season last season, when she's doing her exit interview after the Final Four loss to Iowa, and how she openly admitted to and broke down crying about the fact that she has been, sexualized and victimized, and how she's repeatedly mentioned how much of a pain that has been for her and how tough that experience has been for someone who's supposed to be a mentor to her, like a unk to her or whatever, to then come on her show and just provide another instance of her being sexualized has to be a very uncomfortable, disheartening and discouraging experience for her. And you could kind of hear it in her voice, how like immediately dismissive she was. She even said, Shaq was trying to get the point across, and she was like, I don't want to imagine. I don't want to imagine that, because she doesn't have to, right? No woman, Black or white or whatever, but like, no woman should be, subjected to being sexualized, over sexualized just because they're attractive and they wear certain types of clothes, right? Like, Angel Reese should not be put in a position where she has to think about the views that she would get if she put on some real tiny shorts and went up and dunked a basketball, right? Like, she shouldn't have to be subjected to that. So to this point, it is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate for Angel.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder how Shaq would feel about somebody saying that his daughter, who plays basketball, should be
That's
wearing
another
those
great point.
shorts if they lowered the
Yeah.
rim. Like, how would he? How would he feel? How does he feel about that? Is it, oh yeah, you need to be doing that too because they're doing it? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, come on, like, what are we doing?
Another tweet just says Angel Reese learned a painful lesson about men through Shaq in real time. I fear. Yeah.
And honestly, here's the thing: that kind of language, that kind of rhetoric, the way that he said it, that was Unc language. Like that's how
Yeah.
he can talk to her in private, at
Yeah.
home, on the phone, like between
Yeah.
the two of them. That's why she's on there like, oh my god, like oh my, like you really about to go here because it's like she may have heard him say something like that in
Mhm.
private, and it's like, come on, like you really about to say that here, like that. I mean. So I don't know if it has an effect where I mean, I'm sure she's disappointed that he said that publicly and
Yeah.
kind of embarrassed her a little bit. But
Yeah.
again, I don't know if she's like looking at him differently because he probably talks like that in private and kind of dresses it up as, like I'm just looking out for you. Hey, I'm not trying to say
Sure.
I'm just, just sometimes it's like a joke, it's kind of funny or whatever. But in this case, he was pretty serious. Like it came
He
off
was pretty
like
serious.
as a
Yeah.
semi joke, but he's also like, nah, I mean, what I'm saying, if you did that, you would imagine how much more people would be watching. But that's
Yeah.
like, again, that can't be the bottom line.
No.
Like
And it shouldn't be the bottom line. And then last one, this is a bit long, but I just thought it was interesting. Messed around and saw the Angel Reese and Shaq clip, and it triggered the hell out of me. Such a heartbreaking experience for a woman when a man you thought was safe, different, says or does something that makes you realize they aren't. I hope she's all right for real. And how about the blatant disrespect of her clear communication of her boundaries? I don't want to hear that. And other statements telling him to stop talking. And he was adamant to continue. Not only are you sexualizing her, but you don't care if it's making her uncomfortable. Again, it's just a really unfortunate thing. And again, I think what makes it even more unfortunate is you talk about someone like Shaquille O'Neal, who, on his podcast during March Madness was like very adamant about the fact that like he was only watching the women's side of the tournament because it was more interesting to him. Like he's certainly been in many instances a champion for women's sports, specifically women's basketball. Obviously, you mentioned his daughter who plays women's basketball. I believe she plays for Florida, I think. Great friends with Candace Parker, who's an all-time great. You have this mentoring relationship with Angel Reese. Seemed to be one of the very few people in Angel's corner when it seemed like the entire world was against her in some instances. For this to come up, is certainly an unfortunate situation. Just peeking through the comments real quick. One person said Shaq is not protecting no queens. In this instance, that is true. He was not protecting any queens in this instance. And then Marina Scott said, yeah, Shaq got an agenda and it's shady about her body, made me uncomfortable. I think it made a lot of people uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's
very
awkward, and it's like again. And listen, Shaq has his own personal history and things with women.
Yes.
Nothing like crazy or like abusive or something that I know of, but just more so like Shaq is known to be like a wild dude. Like he's been with different women, he's been divorced and all that. Like he's had some questionable decisions and circumstances when it comes to women. So the way that agenda and just the way he like I don't know. Like I don't. It's weird. It's just weird.
It's weird.
And like you said, to the point that you made, whether he intended to or not, he feeds into those people who make those kind of like stupid objectifying comments about her. And no matter what his intention was, because again, when I watch it and listen to it, I still hear just like an uncle who talks that way at home at the barbecue, or when it's usually just you and me. Like it's probably like it wasn't like so. I mean, it felt inappropriate for that setting, but like again, it's Shaq. Like imagine, I mean, how many times has anyone ever told, especially Shaq, knowing like just how goofy and like silly he can be, and how like he says what he says and he means it. He's like, yo, I'm gonna say it. This is what I think, and few people can probably tell him like, nah, don't say that. No, that's inappropriate, because he usually doesn't go. He's not known to like go too far or cross the line. But yeah, I think that was just too bad, because he's feeding into people that continue to make comments like that, and they feel more justified by it because Big Shaq is saying it. And I'll say this lastly, Kobe would be disappointed, bro.
100%.
Kobe would be disappointed in you, bro, and you
Yeah.
know that. Like that was not it. That was not it.
Kobe would definitely be disappointed in that for sure. It's unfortunate though.
And that is a shame.
And that is a shame.